What's up, everybody? It's Wario, and we finally got that guide out. Double Swing is on maxroll.gg now, and right now, I'm going to go over the aspects and the gear that you have. So let's get right into it. Currently on our helm, we have Might. This is ideal for lunging strike, so you're going to be using lunging strike to proc the aspect, and you're going to get that 20% damage reduction. You do want 6 seconds because that just gives you a longer time to be hitting with double swing. So just keep that in mind. And on your helm, you want to prioritize crowd control, CDR, max life, and total armor percent. Getting into the chest, you can rock disobedience on the chest. And for this, you want to have percent armor, damage reduction to close enemies, damage reduction while fortified, and just percent damage reduction. Those are really good stats for your chest. When you get into the gloves, this is provides to your CC kit. Audacity is really nice. It has a stun of up to 4 seconds when you have 5 enemies around, and you can chain this with your ground stomp. So Audacity is super nice, especially in these high Nightmare Dungeon 100s with the new density buffs. You want to keep that CC chain going, so this is really, really good. On your stats on your gloves, you want to have double swing, attack speed, critical strike chance. I like all stats. It helps with your Paragon nodes. I'm just a big fan of all stats because I like to hit all my rare nodes on my Paragon board. And then getting into your pants, you're going to be using Numbing Wrath. This is to provide Fortify. You want percent armor, damage reduction while injured because that's its own separate bucket. So having 60% damage reduction while injured is going to be huge. When you get below 35%, you're going to be taking like 0 damage. Damage reduction from close enemies and damage reduction, just hard damage reduction percent. Getting into your boots, we have exploiters. This is going to provide 20% crowd control, very important for this build. Also, when enemies become unstoppable, because we're a heavy CC build, the second part, you're going to be doing up to 40% increased damage to them. So that's really, really good. Getting into our two-handed bludgeoning weapon, I like to use smiting. This just provides a lot more crowd control duration. Very important in the Nightmare Dungeon 100s with the buff to all the density. Crowd control is huge. If you're not rocking crowd control on your amulet and your helm and using these aspects, and you're going into Nightmare 100, you're probably going to die and you're going to be complaining. So make sure you prioritize those crowd control rolls. Getting into the other two-hander, we have accelerating. This is very nice for double swing. You're going to be swinging and slashing through your enemies, and it's also going to be proccing your punishing speed page chart. And yeah, I don't think I would ever put this on a one-hander. It just feels super clunky, so keep this on. For our one-hander, I use two one-handed maces. The numbers that I've been putting out with these has been it's outweighed all the other stuff that I've been testing. If you get Ramalani's, go for it. It also feels good, but I like two maces. For the first one, I'm using Edge Masters. Skills deal up to 20% increased damage based on your available primary resource. When enemies are stunned, we're always at max resource. So this is really good. And then for our other mace, I'm using Berserk Ripping after patch 1.1.1. The way that this interacts with the Barber, there's an explanation in the guide on Max Roll. I went into depth on it, but don't be expecting to be hitting these numbers without Berserk Ripping and the Barber after seasons. So it's still good, but don't expect to be hitting those high numbers. For all four weapons, I prioritize main stat, all stat, vulnerable damage, and crit damage. So those are the rolls that I like. That's what I've been testing. You're hitting all the rare nodes with all the all stats. You could just go all stats and do damage to close enemies and vulnerable and crit damage. That's always an option. I like to have main stat. I like all stat. I pair them together. I like basically with all my builds that I do. Getting into our amulet, we have Limitless Rage. This is just a really good damage multiplier. The rolls on your amulet are very important. You want Fury cost reduction, crowd control duration. And CDR, the fourth one, you can mess around with. You can get wallop, you can get +3 to defensive skills, you can get damage reduction while injured, close. There's a lot of things that you can get with that, but make sure that you get Fury cost reduction, crowd control, and CDR. Those are going to be key to this build. For our two rings, I'm not going to go into depth on Bold Chieftain. We use this for every build basically, but you want to prioritize vulnerable, critical strike chance, resource generation, and critical strike damage. If you were to go tankier, you could drop your critical strike damage and go with max life, but always make sure you have the critical strike chance. It's very, very, very important. For our second ring, I'm using Echoing Fury. This is just going to give you another Fury generator while you're casting your 3 shouts, and it's going to be giving you up to 12 Fury per second when you cast all 3. So really good. Uh, I hope you guys like this. The build's on max roll now, and these are the aspects that I've been testing. We're smashing Nightmare 100s. I can go into a Ghost Nightmare dungeon with the new density, not die. I'm killing bosses within 20 seconds. This is the setup. Like, if you're running this setup, you have high survivability. You got a really solid chain of CC. And the last thing I want to get into are the caged hearts. So punishing speed is really, really good for of the overall Nightmare Dungeon, providing you that knockdown, which also works with double swing. So you're still getting Fury when they're knocked down when you hit that break point of attack speed, which is also why you want accelerating on a two-hander and not a one-hander, because it's easier to proc punishing speed. So just keep that in mind. Like, if you're trying to, abuse Berserk Ripping, your attack speed is going to be slow and your punishing speed is not going to be proccing that often. And then also what I like to do for boss fights is I have another ring in my inventory and I'll swap to calculate it. This will help proc the stagger effect on the bosses a lot faster. So you can always mess around with that. We're going to use the Brutal Heart Revenge just for the damage reduction up to 20%. And of course, we're abusing the Barber this season. Have fun, everybody, and enjoy the double swing.